What's up, YouTube? This is going to be our guide on how to use Volcarona in Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. I'll be providing competitive movesets and some fun me movesets too. If there's a Pokemon you'd like to see me cover, put it below in the comment section of the video. If you enjoy these videos, they help you out, drop a like, and let's get into it. So Volcarona obviously is a very, very good special sweeper, and it's got some great stats, good moves, and it's got a lot it can do. Typically with singles and doubles, it works fairly similar with Quiver Dance on a lot of sets. However, some of the moves used on each do change up a little bit. So first, have a look at the stats. So we've got a nice special attack stat, 135 base is great. Special defense, 105, and speed, 100. So some really, really good quality stats there that work well with Quiver Dance. Its health is okay, and yeah, its defense is garbage, but that doesn't really matter all that much. So let's have a look at the abilities here. Now, we've got two abilities, which is either Flame Body or Swarm. Now, depending on what sort of set you want to use, Swarm or Flame Body is better, right? Flame Body is good in case Volcarona does get attacked by a contacting move. It can burn the opponent, which allows you maybe to get a setup. Since its defense is a little bit on the shaky side, sometimes this doesn't work all that well, and Swarm can be better if you've got a lower amount of health or a third or less, and you're able to hit a lot harder with a bug type move. That can work too. But for this sort of set here, you could use a Swarm or Flame Body. I'm going to go over both abilities and use both of them and stuff like that. So first set, we've got Quiver Dance. Obviously, it's bread and butter. So that's going to be giving a special attack boost, special defense, and speed boost by 1. It's pretty easy to get a Quiver Dance up against any sort of matchup. Specifically, this first set and the next one are probably geared towards singles more, and then we've got some doubles and stuff too. So with Volcarona, as long as you don't set up against a rock type Pokemon, unless you're going for a Terra type, of course, you'll be reasonably fine. So probably the best item on it is Heavy Duty Boots for singles, because it takes mega damage from Stealth Rock, so it's going to lose half its health there. So Heavy Duty Boots is very, very good for that, being a bug and fire type too. So we got Quiver Dance here and Fiery Dance. I like Fiery Dance a little bit over Flamethrower or Fire Blast, because Fiery Dance has a 50% chance to boost its special attack. So potentially you can go for a Quiver Dance, then a Fiery Dance, feint the opponent, and then get an additional special attack boost, which just snowballs it out of control. If you want something a little bit more steady, though, with a little bit more base power, 90 base power compared to that, you can definitely do that. But it's only 10 base power more, and this has a 50% chance to boost its special attack. So it's sort of what you want to go for there. I feel like having a 50% chance to roll a special attack boost on top of already having a Quiver Dance is really, really good. Now, Bug Buzz is a great bug move for sure. It's a sound-based move too, so you could always, if you don't want to run Boots, you could possibly run Throat Spray in there for more special attack boost. And I've got Giga Drain. Giga Drain is really good for any rock and ground types, and it works really, really well with Terra type grass as well, which is going to be very important there, especially if you come across, like, say, like a Rhyperior or something like that. You can easily go for a Terra type grass, go for a Quiver Dance, and use Giga Drain and virtually one shot and get all of your health back in that sort of situation. So it works very nicely for that. You can have Flame Body on there too, if you like. With sets that have Bug Buzz on them, I quite like to have Swarm, because when you're setting up Quiver Dance, you'll probably find you get at a third of less of your health, and then you can give yourself like a really big powerful bug buzz there. That's quite nice. Even against something resisted, it will do a really good amount of damage. So that's sort of up to what you kind of want there. With Terra types, I've got Grass in this. It can run actually quite a few different ones. Another good one is Water. Water's a good defensive one as well, and all you have to do for Water, you just probably choose between, okay, say for example, well, Grass, what does that hit? That hits, rock and ground and stuff like that, So I would get rid of that, keep Bug Buzz, and give it Terra Blast. So that way you've got a water type move, and it's going to be hitting really, really hard. Opposing fire type Pokemon as well, it's going to be really good. So I don't mind Water on that too. Water or Grass are pretty good, I would say, for offensive. Especially, Water's good for offensive and defensive at the same time. Grass isn't too bad either, but it does it does leave you a little bit exposed there for coverage reasons when you've got Terra Grass. So that's I'd probably like to have water on there the most if I was going to use a sweeping single set to give you the best amount of coverage as well. So you've got like Bug Buzz, Fiery Dance, and Terra Blast. It's going to be very, very powerful. And then, you know, if you were not to have Bug Buzz on there or a Bug Move, then obviously you'd run Flame Body and stuff like that. I just like Swarm on there. It gives you a really, really big, especially if you don't have something like Giga Drain on there. Swarm's good as well, but maybe if you've got Giga Drain on there and you feel like you're going to get your health back, and then you feel like, oh, Swarm might be a bit of a waste there. Say someone has a priority move or hit you with a physical contact move, Flame Body could come into effect. They're really nice, and you could heal up and stuff. So that's how I would run this. EVs are pretty standard here. So we got max special attack and max speed. Timid Nature, go for Timid Nature. After a Quiver Dance, you're going to be getting a good speed stat. And yeah, that's how I run. Another one you could possibly run on there as well is Fairy. Fairy's just such a good type. So this will allow you to get a free Quiver Dance up, and then you can have Terra Blast Fairy if you like. As more of a defensive type, that could work very, very nicely too. The only thing you have to watch out is you obviously have a fire type move on there, and yeah, and then you'll be right there for steel types and poison and stuff like that. You can still use that. So yeah, that's probably the ones that I would pick from there. Now, Volcarona can be used as a bulky set as well. This one is a really defensive bulky set. I find this works very, very well too. This one is designed at a little bit more stall with like Morning Sun and such like that. So same sort of item I would run. I would definitely run Flame Bolt in this because it's going to be more tanky. So it's actually going to be able to, live a hit and those sort of things. And you're going to be setting up Quiver Dance and healing with Morning Sun. So we've got Quiver Dance, Morning Sun, obviously there, it's pretty straightforward. Fiery Dance is going to be boosting your special attack, and Terra Blast Fairy there as well. So it's going to be, it's going to give you pretty good coverage all around there. So Fairy hits most things, and then, if you come across Steel or Poison, you can just go for Fiery Dance. And that hits most things, right? And with the EVs here, you can actually live pretty well with physical hits. It actually gets a reasonable amount of health there when it's max. And, it's defense. It's not like paper-thin defense anymore. It can take a physical, neutral attack, right? So that can, be very, very decent as well. And you can potentially heal off, Quiver Dance up, and say you've taken it out all the special physical attackers, right? You could potentially just set up Quiver Dances and heal off and get as many special attack boosts as you like, and end up just sweeping the opponent. So it wouldn't be too hard. So that's just two variants of Volcarona. A straight up sweeping one, or more of a defensive bulky one. Depends on like what your team is and what your rule set you're playing and stuff like that. But they both work pretty effectively. So let's have a look at doubles now. This runs a little bit different in doubles. I would say it's definitely better. I would say it's definitely a better Pokemon in singles, mainly because you're only versing one Pokemon at a time. So it's a little bit more difficult to set up Quiver Dances against two Pokemon and such, unless you got some big support. But I think it works best in singles for sure. But it's still very good in doubles. So we've got Quiver Dance here, obviously. Now we're changing the fire type move up to Heat Wave. Heat Wave is going to be hitting both the opponents and stuff like that. So it obviously on a Sun team would be really, really nice, like Torkoal and Ninetales and Groudon, whatever team you're running there. That's going to be very handy. And Giga Drain, I like Giga Drain on there because that gets around a lot of your counters, especially with this set. I'm going for Terra type Fire, so we're trying to boost up Heat Wave even more damage. And interesting move it does get is Rage Powder as well. So say if you've got an opposing, Fire type Pokemon or something like that, or say there's a good example would be like Sizzle, right? And you've got a Pokemon on your ally that's weak to Steel, right? And it's a Fairy type. Say there's a Sylvie on there, right? And you know that Scizor is going to use Bullet Punch. Well, you can just redirect that with Rage Powder, possibly get a Flame Body, and then Sylveon can go for a Hyper Voice, right? So it can be offensive and it can be somewhat defensive too. I've actually got a defensive set. I'll show you as well. I've sort of just didn't get the time to do that right now, but I'll show you as we go on. But that's definitely how I would go about running that, in doubles. So we got max special attack and max speed. Timid, same EVs as before. just with the last little bit of health there. So you could definitely go for a Terra type fire there. You could do, arguably you can do Terra type water and Terra type fairy as well. If you want, if you wanted a more of defensive nature, you could do that. Sorry, Terra, you could do that as well, and you might want to swap this up to like Terra Blast. Then you know what I mean. Like Terra Blast would be fine if you wanted to do that. Another good move on there is Protect as well. But you may want to change Covert Cloak up then to another item. You might want to pick like Focus Sash, right? So that way you kind of guarantee your Quiver Dance up with all those, physical Pokemon and such around with like Rock Slide and stuff like that. So, it sort of depends on what you get. So you get the general idea. Next kind of set here, this one I've tried out before. It's actually pretty fun. It's a little bit more off meta compared to that first one or the other ones we looked at, but it still has some good promise. So this is a Terra type water Volcarona. We're primarily using this for a rain team, right? So Volcarona in the rain, and we've got Terra Blast water. It actually gets Hurricane, which is really cool. So if you've got a rain team like, say, Pelipper and stuff, you can fire off Hurricanes, really nice base power as well. And then you've got Terra Blast water hitting hard and Protect on there too. So it's actually a rain, a Volcar Rain. There's a good one, Volcar Rain, but yeah. Flame Body on that one too. Obviously, we don't have any bug type moves for swarms. There's no point using that. And I popped Citrus Berry on there as well, so that would just give me a little bit of health, recovery after I've used Quiver Dance. So that could also work well on this set as well for Volcarona. Like Citrus Berry is a good item. Another one you could possibly run as well, like as just thinking of items and stuff like, you can run like choice spec sets on this too. I'll go over like a couple more double sets. I'll go over it in a little bit. There's a few more you can do, and even in singles you can do that as well. But there's a couple of double sets there if you want to give them a try. I've got a couple of memes here, and then we'll talk some we'll talk some counters and some teammates, and we might do a couple more movesets and stuff like that. So with this next set here, this is really gimmicky territory now, but I did a few gimmicky ones, so I always like to do some gimmicks. So I had this good Volcarona set I used to have. Well, when I say good, I mean that pretty loosely, but it was fun to use. It actually used to learn Toxic, right? So you have like a Toxic Fire Spin trapping set. So I've kind of modified that a little bit. It still can somewhat work here. So we've got Fire Spin to trap the opponent in, and we've got Flame Body, right? So if you can get a Flame Body to activate, you've got 2 burn damages going at once. You've got Morning Sun to heal the Volcarona, Struggle Bug to drop the opponent's special attack, and you've got Harden as well. It actually gets Harden, believe it or not. So you can increase that defensive stat and keep sort of stalling there. So we've got max health and max special defense, bold nature. So Keyberry as the item there. So if you get hit by a physical attack, you get a +1 in defense. So that's going to make it even more bulky. So a beautiful PIMPNITE special there. As for Terra, I had bug on this one. Look, you could, you could even do normal on that, because like you don't want any weaknesses, right? So you could do normal, or you could do like electric, but I probably would go for normal there, or fire. Probably normal, or even fairy. Fairy would be okay as well. So one of those type of ones. Speaking of which, though, for this set here, just sort of like jumping around, the Struggle Bug actually isn't all that bad, because it hits both the opponents too, and it 100% drops the special attack. So you can possibly run that on Volcarona as well. I feel like this will work on more of a defensive set though, but there is the option there. If you don't want to run Bug Budge, you can run Struggle Bug. So we got a PIMPNITE special here as the last one. Well, I had to look at a physical Volcarona, I really had to. So we got max attack and max speed, Adam Nature. It's terrible, right? So I wanted to try and make use of weakness policy, and I did a sweep of this set. I think it's very, very similar, or almost exactly it. If you want to check it out on my channel, it was a Volcarona sweep by PIMPNITE. And you can, it's got Leech Life and Flare Blitz. So they're not a bad combination if you're using Swarm ability too. So if you're using Flare Blitz a lot, you'll find you're going to be on a lower mana health a lot. And you've got Leech Life. So Endure is going to be used there. So say a Rock type comes in and stuff like that, and you can get that weakness policy up and with Endure, and then hit them with a Trailblaze to boost your speed. Matter of fact, I would have Terra Grass in there. So Terra Grass increases the damage of Trailblaze, because it's not really that strong, so that's going to be useful, increasing your speed. And then you've got Flare Blitz and Leech Life as well. So you can either go Terra Grass or Terra Fire there. So an interesting spin on Volcarona with a physical set. In fact, La Vesta, its pre-evolution is actually a physical attacker. Then it swaps into a special attacker, which is quite interesting with Volcarona. So a couple more double sets here. I just wanted to do another one that I was kind of thinking of here. So this one's going to be kind of similar to this bulky Morning Sun one I was talking about before, but we're not going to use Morning Sun because doubles is going to be... doubles is probably going to be a little bit too slow for that, I would say. Let's go to real defensive here. We're going to go super defensive with the bold nature. We'll go bold. I'm going to give Rocky Helmet a go. So I kind of like... You know, I was talking about Rage Powder before. I quite like Rage Powder and Rocky Helmet. It's a bit of a nasty sort of combination there. I was talking about Struggle Bug already before. So we got Rage Powder and Struggle Bug, if you can sort of see what way this set is going. And then we've got Heat Wave. Heat Wave is this there to do a bit of damage, so you're not just going to be stuck doing, you know, Struggle Bug damage. So I see this having, like, you know, pretty good potential there. And look, you could have Morning Sun on there if you wanted to. It might work, or you could just put Protect on there. So I'm going to leave that one open as Morning Sun or Protect. The only thing about Morning Sun, it is a weather-dependent healing move, so sometimes it can be really, really good, but if it's the wrong weather, it's going to do nothing, and you're probably better off just, you know, attacking or doing something, you know what I mean? So, yeah, we'll leave that at Morning Sun or Protect. So it's more of like a defensive set, but I think it could work like rather nicely. As for Terra, I'm thinking about what Terra I would probably use here. Maybe Fairy or Water or something like that. Yeah, probably Water or Fairy. One of those two. Don't think I'd go Grass. But yeah, that's something you could definitely go for there. Yeah, Water or Fairy would work rather nicely. So just another spin on Volcarona if you wanted like a different kind of set that could absolutely work. So let's talk now about some sort of like a team build around Volcarona. So usually Volcarona is kind of countered. Like I was going to say, a great Pokemon that works well with it would be Rotom Wash, because it covers a lot of Volcarona's like weaknesses, especially like, you know, water Pokemon. Give me an example, like Azumarill for a second, like especially priority moves like Aqua Jet or Azumarill. That's going to like really destroy Volcarona unless it's got like a Terra up already. But anything like that's going to be useful as a team like kind of partner there. Another good one too would be, I'm thinking like Gyarados. That would be another good one too. Just as the partner of like a sweeping water Pokemon is going to be really, really handy, and it's got Intimidate too. So those two could work really, really nicely. And then you've got some other Pokemon, more defensive stuff like say Corviknight. That could work rather good as well. That could cover any fire type weaknesses. Plus, if there's any like special attackers and like electric special attackers, this can just set up Quiver Dances, and you know, it works really, really nicely. So that's a good combination too, like Corviknight. That's a good one. I was going to say Dondozo is a good one as well. That's good. I would say Hippo would be pretty good too. Hippowdon would be pretty good too. If you have any, Hippowdon's also a good counter. Hippowdon's also a very good counter to Volcarona too, with if it does have you know, Stealth Rock, and well, I actually don't think I've done a Hippowdon guide yet, so I will have to do that. But yeah, this is a good Pokemon because it's going to do a lot of damage. You know, with Whirlwind and Stealth Rock, especially in singles, and it's also a very good counter to Volcarona as well in singles, especially if you don't have heavy duty boots, which you would be strange because that's a very, very good item for it in singles. But yeah, there's a couple of other ones. Another counter. I was thinking like maybe Mimikyu or something like that. Like physical Pokemon that have a chance of setting up, like Sword Dance. That could go Shadow Claws, Shadow Sneak. That could get around Volcarona if it was to try and set up Quiver Dances. That's another good counter. Volcarona likes a lot of support as well. So typical best, you know, one of the best support is Grimstar with screens. It's really, really good for it. It can set up Quiver Dancers behind it. So that's any bulky screen Pokemon, with parting shot and screens and stuff like that, it's going to be super good. Like, you can just get a free Quiver Dance up almost, or maybe even 2, right? Probably the best thing to get around Volcarona 2 is priority moves. I was just going to say Dragonite's actually a pretty good Pokemon too. Terra Normal Dragonite, Aquajet Azumarill, Shadow Sneak Mimikyu, those kind of things, right? They're going to be hitting Volcarona hard, and they're going to be getting around as it gets chipped down as well. So that's definitely a good Pokemon. We've talked about Stealth Rock Pokemon already. Some Rock-type Pokemon. Glimmera's not too bad as well. Just thinking of that. Glimmera, Garganacl, that's a pretty solid counter as well. Stealth Rock and Soul Cure as well, so there's some good counters there. There's quite a few counters for it. The main thing is, like, when you play Volcarona, you swap it in on the right Pokemon, and then you can generally get around these as well, because these counters eventually, because you do like a ton of damage and stuff like that. So that's some pretty good counters and teammates and stuff like that. I'm trying to think if there's any more good teammates. Rillaboom's a good teammate. Rillaboom's a nice teammate for Volcarona as well. Obviously, being weak to fire and ice, it's not a bad combination. Just have to watch out for flying as well, especially if Volcarona is going Terra Grass as well. King Gambit's good. King Gambit is very good, so they make a very good combination as well with their typing and weaknesses. They work really nicely too. I was going to say Goldengo's another good one. I pretty much covered a lot. Another not a bad one as it was Whimsicott too, with typing and setting up Tailwind and stuff like that. That's some pretty good stuff there. Now, to finish this off, we'll have a final look at Volcarona's moves. If you got any more movesets and stuff, or whatever you use on Volcarona, let me know in the comment section. I say I've pretty much covered all of it. So looking at its status moves here to begin with, we've got Calm Mind. I don't think anyone's going to use Calm Mind over Quiver Dance. There's actually no point at all, unless you're doing some crazy, I don't know, like a Trick Room Volcarona or something like that. Like, that's probably the only time you'd need to use Calm Mind over Quiver Dance. So yeah, it does get Morning Sun, gone over that. It does get Light Screen. It does have access to Tailwind too, but I don't think this is generally the right Pokemon to do Tailwind. It's probably better for a support type. It does get Will-O-Wisp. I didn't really mention Will-O-Wisp, but that would be good on that bulky set I was talking about. Yeah, so like this one here, that would go nicely. That would definitely go nicely on there. If you wanted to have Swarm, you could put it on there then Struggle Bug might hit a little bit harder, so there are some options and stuff for that too. That could work nicely on even a normal Quiver Dance set too. It actually gets Amnesia, which is Amnesia and Harden, which is interesting. It does get those two moves, and it also gets String Shot too. Okay, that's not too bad. How about, I'm going to adjust this. I don't mind this support set. So this is my like supporting set, defensively bulky Volcarona. I actually think that has got some pretty good potential. So you've got String Shot, this is obviously for doubles. We're going to be using that to drop speed. We're doing some damage there with Heat Wave. We're doing some damage there and dropping Special Attack with Struggle Bug. We're Rage Pouting in any Steel type moves and stuff like that, or any physical moves, and to get Rocky Helmet damage. So yeah, you could definitely run that as the support. I really like this set here. That's interesting. That's its status moves. Let's have a look at its special moves. Now, it does get a couple of flying moves for Air Slash and Hurricane. I sort of went Hurricane I don't know, Hurricane's not that useful unless you're using it in a rain team, because it can miss and stuff. It gets Fire Dance, Flamethrower. It does get Fire Blast as well. I feel like it's better to pick Flamethrower or Fire Dance, because Fire Blast doesn't usually have enough PP. It's only got 8, so I would go for that. Giga Drain is really great around getting around its main counters, and you can back it up with Terra Grass too. Heat Wave's great for doubles. You can run an Overheat set. You can run that. Probably the only time I would run an Overheat set is if I was running something like this, a Choice Spec set. So let's look at that right now. We'll go Timber Nature, because we're already getting a big boost in Special Attack. So we got Overheat. That's nice. We've got, I would definitely put Bug Buzz and Giga Drain on that, because Giga Drain with Choice Specs is great. They're pretty solid moves. I would probably go... I'm just thinking of like Terra Blast, if I even need Terra Blast in the set. I think I might get... Yeah, you could put U-Turn on there as well, just for scouting and momentum. So that's something you could put on there. And as for Terra type, man, I would either go... I might be inclined to go Fire, because that's a powerful move with Choice Specs, and you can even power that up further. So that's another way of possibly running it too. So with Choice Specs, or even Choice Scarf, I could definitely see that, that working as well. But yeah, that's another option you could run on Volcarona. Let's have a look at a couple more of its moves here. Okay, I get Psychic, but that's just a filler move in my opinion. It doesn't really bring much to the table. Against fighting types, not really. You'd probably be using a fire type move anyway. I don't see too much use there. Maybe a poison type, that's about it. If you were like, say you were Terra Fairy, that would be good. But that like Terra Fairy, Psychic, and Fiery Dance and Quiver Dance, that's good. That'd be good for coverage reasons. Just for poison, but that's about it. It's kind of niche for coverage. Everything else here is kind of gimmicky. You could run Solar Beam on a Sun team if you wanted to, but the only bad thing about Solar Beam is if the weather changes and you also lack the recovery of Giga Drain, which is 50%, which is actually really good. So yeah, there's the special moves, and obviously it's not a physical attacker's backside, but let's have a look anyway. It does get some interesting physical moves. I think I might have run Acrobatics on mine. I'm trying to remember, but I did do a Volcarona physical sweep for the fun of it. If you want to check it out on my my channel, or type it in YouTube or whatever. But yeah, it actually gets really good physical moves, like a good coverage, but it's not a physical attacker. It's with La Vesta. Maybe I'll do a La Vesta guide one day. I've actually done a La Vesta sweep though, but yeah, it gets like cool moves like Wild Charge, electric type move, which is interesting. But yeah, it's not much of a physical attacker. But anyway, Volcarona obviously is a very, very good Pokemon. You could slot it in singles. It's extremely good too. Very, very easy to set Quiver Dance up and set up and sweep. And in doubles as well, it can be a sweeper and it can be support as well. So yeah, very, very versatile Pokemon. Despite its kind of terrible typing, it can be definitely covered with Terra and be made up for that easy. So yeah, hope you enjoyed today's Volcarona guide. If you did, drop a like on the video, subscribe if you are new, and I'll catch you next time. Peace out.